When things go wrong in chess, what do you do? Here is the position that I reached in the game that I'm going to feature for you here. The position with, of course, like I said, I'm going to shine the New Zealand flag. This is the New Zealand official flag, and it was under debate a few years ago as to what it should really look like. So it's stayed like this while Prime Minister John Key was still in government for the National Party. So the flag was under debate about what should be the New Zealand flag. Should we change it from this one here, which still to this day is our national flag? I have neither opinion for or against the opposition and whether this should stay or whatever. But anyway, here we are in chess. Quite often things go topsy-turvy or bad or somewhat. Okay, so here is a position that was reached in the game that I'm going to show you soon, where I was black against an opponent from America, and I will just say the first part of their name is Milo. So like that New Zealand drink, better than Bournvita, I'm sorry to say, Milo, or cocoa or whatever sort of thing, or Bournvita's okay. So here is this game, and this is a 15-minute game and 10-second increments. So 15 minutes each for all our moves, and 10 seconds each move increments, added manually by the arbiter that was watching this game at every point in every juncture of this game. That was played a few days ago on chess.com. So here we go. This is that game. So I'm just trying to see what I'm like with sort of classical chess, as it's called. So here we go. Let's go. So here comes the move that that I play is F5 in the French. On move 3, generally speaking. And this is the variation. If you don't want to give me what I want, don't play EF6, because I love this line. Whether or not I win with it all the time is another question. As a junior, I used to watch the Otago chess champion and a very strong A-grader play lightning chess. And the Otago chess champion back then was always playing the French defense. So that's probably why I play the French defense, because I saw the resilience of the opening and the properties of trying to go for E5 in some cases, particularly that thereof in the Tarrasch French defense, or the French Tarrasch, which is knight d2 on move 3, generalistically speaking. So here's bishop d3, bishop d6. So here I'm sort of like maybe doing a naughty thing that I'm thinking of playing e5 very shortly, as I've had quite a number of games with this particular setup as black. So here, why not e5? But this is about when things go wrong. So this particular game, I believe, went a wee bit wrong, because I would like to keep these pawns, I would like to keep them adjacent to each other and in the center, and not have to move or whatever sort of thing like that. But I'm playing my opponent, who is white in this case, who might have other ideas about of what I want in this game. And this game goes right down to the New Zealand number 8 wire. It goes right down to the New Zealand number 8 wire. So that means that it goes to what? A very late endgame. H6. And here, of course, I'm just threatening bishop H2 check. So white plays bishop G3. And so I would go bishop G4, and if bishop E5, I would, of course, take the dark squared bishop, not the queen. Otherwise I lose material, I believe, without looking into it. Now, where to put the bishop? Or do I take the bishop? Or do I take the other bishop? Or what do I do? So what do I do now? I play bishop F5. So this is keeping some elasticity in the position, I suppose, but I'm not entirely sure. It might not be the best move in the world. Knight F3, so I felt like here taking off the pair of dark squared bishops. And here, why not rook A8? So I'm wanting to keep these pawns reasonably together. And if you look at these pawns, they're not sort of like characteristic of a French defense for black. They're not really characteristic, are they? Black has got two pawns next to each other, both telling white to keep off these squares here with pieces, and this A5 pawn is preventing in normal circumstances B4 moves, even though it doesn't mean that white will not play B4. So I want to keep them reasonably joined together, but this can in the future become a very strong pass pawn. Now if I was able to move it 2 squares, I just win a bishop for nothing, or for pawn. Even though white can try to go queen B3 check, I can just play C4, blocking the check, and then look to take the bishop soon thereafter. So this is quite really good, I believe, for black. But black has to be careful, as you may see soon in this game. So knight H4, and I just go bishop H7. I do not want to, I might be best to just move it back here, so I've got this central pawn mass protected, but I'll play bishop H7 and bishop D3. So white's really kind of hassling me here, so I played knight E4, I believe. Yes, I was right, thank you. And knight F3 again. Now what was it, pardon me, what was it I was thinking of doing now? Because I want to keep an eye on this D5 pawn, just in case white gets to take it off at an opportune moment and maybe grab my D5 pawn, which isn't possible, of course, at the moment, but it would be after F3 and then Queen D5 if my rook was to leave this file. Hello, Whistle. So here we go. I went knight E4, knight F3. Okay, well that's probably fair enough, because white's just returning to the center, because otherwise the knight's looking a wee bit slightly odd out on the flank. So here's king H8. Now, did I have any reason to play this? No, not really. I didn't have any particular reason to play this. So here's rook E1, but white had a reason to play rook E1. And did I have a reason to play rook F6? No, not particularly. But I just thought it looked good and looked nice. And so here's rook c1, and all of a sudden I'm starting to think, oh no, white is wanting to maybe play c4, and then my knight is in trouble. Okay, because it's only looked after by the thing. But I do see that I could go, if it was white's moving now, I can actually go dc4, and the bishop can't take back because there's no check on c4 for the white squid bishop. The bishop can't take back because I take the queen with my rook. But the rook would be able to capture this pawn on c4. There's that whistle again. But I just double up here, and probably white can break up my strength of pawns in the center with c4. I'll have a look. I'll see what the engine says. Yep, see? It's amazing. So here we go. Here's rook e2. So c4, as I thought that I didn't really like for me, is Fritz XI's move. So I played c4 now. It's probably not very good. Now, of course, I'm threatening white. A very easy move to see. When you know it, you see it a bit. So I'm threatening here what? What am I threatening with this queen here? c5 move. And well done. If you've seen this, I hope you have, is knight g3. I'm threatening knight g3 because, as you would appreciate, the pawn cannot capture because the pawn is pinned to black's, the second player's, queen on c5. So the pawn cannot capture because it's checked. Okay? Hello, whistle. So queen d4, and all my thoughts before are cut out. So queen d4, and obviously knight d4, if I may use that word, obviously, and white would probably be met with rook f2, or even maybe knight f2, which is probably nicer, but it would be up to the second player what to play. But cd4 is what happened and occurred. Okay, now I want to just show you these here. Now we can see that white has 3 pawn islands, one here, one here, one here. Black, however, has 2 pawn islands. Even though these aren't looking like they're together, these are one pawn island and another pawn island. Now if, and here white of their pawn islands, one of their pawn islands has an isolated pawn, another has hanging pawns. These are hanging pawns, what's called hanging pawns. Doesn't matter if you learn these or not. And this is one with double pawns. So these are a little bit weaker, if I may say so, than black's pawns, because black's pawns have only 2 islands and none of them are doubled, or sort of like a friend of mine says, a tractor with the trailer behind it. The tractor has to move first for the double pawn, like here, before the trailer can move behind it. So that's a problem with doubled pawns, even though doubled pawns do have their strength. A strength would be that white has this open file for their rook, whereas black does not, because their pawn's in the way. Oh, there's that whistle. Just happens every day. So what I'm saying now is, if you look at the pawn formation, you will see that there's 3 versus 4. So it sounds like a little bit like the war is better in black's favour, so I played b5, and this also stops things happening like me trying to lose a pawn here. So I played b5 with intent of maybe later on b4 and c3, or that sort of thing. So this is looking quite reasonable to me still, but here comes this knight, so not yet, soon comes this knight to worry me, because at the moment it can't really go there. b4, why not? Now this is my main support for c3, of course, and so how do I take it? Do I take it with the pawn, or do I take it with the bishop? So given what I've just said about pawn islands, I took it with the bishop. And if I take it with the pawn here, then that offers up the opportunity of making this pawn weak, even though it might be not too bad. So bishop e4 captures, and I can look to play this move. Okay, so here's knight e5, and this is of course a knight in my territory, and it prevents my move maybe of bishop d3, and it also threatens knight takes pawn, which might be a move or might not, but it really threatens this move really here, knight here. So I have to be aware of this knight in my territory, especially with my rooks both on dark squares. This knight is particularly effective for white, the first player. So rook d8 with no real plan in mind, and f3, and back to h7. I can probably go back to g6, but I'm actually thinking the bishop is a wee bit better than the knight, but we shall see. Rook c1 and king g8, still reasonable for black, I think. I do wonder what the Kibitzer thinks, so I'm going to ask Crafty 20, which is quite old now, favours black a little bit by -12, or slight advantage -0.45. So I have to be careful, in other words. So here's g4, rook a6. Now something goes wrong with I allow this knight c6 move, which comes now. So here is where things are going topsy-turvy for me. I've just lost one of my pawns, which I consider primo, so for white, and not primo for me. I don't like to lose my pawn. So rook a4 and knight c2. So what do I do now? Do I just think, oh, I can't be bothered? I'll offer a draw, see if white is silly enough to accept a draw, because now if we look at the Kibitzer, we could leave it on. Okay, we'll just ask it again. Now it says plus over equals, and I think it says slight advantage for white, or so, but that is in the 0.62 range for white for best play for either company. So there you have that. So here we go with the bishop d3 move, and that wasn't the move that was suggested by Crafty or Fritz or so. Rook a2 was. So rook d2, rook b6. So I'm trying hard pardon me, I'm trying hard to get back to reasonable normality. But guess what? White is not allowing same. So I have to go rook a5 to prevent knight d5. And here's king g3 and king f7 and bishop e4 with no particular idea whatsoever. f5 and rook b3. Not a real threat of rook takes knight check, but it is if white does not look out. So white plays king f4 and bishop d3. Now the rook comes back to b5. I don't want to really swap. King e5. This looks completely one for white, in my opinion. So I play g5 and give black the problem of this now passed f pawn. b3 comes about, and so white is playing very well indeed. But if white takes this, then I can merely recapture with the pawn and it's check. But what sort of check is it? So here I think, right, I'll play rook a8, and I'm almost threatening checkmate. It's almost checkmate here. Or it's rook takes knight threat. Okay? So if now knight takes pawn, that will not do, because black would respond with here this check here, and this forces this move, and I'm not even sure. Oh yes, that's right. I realise that this is good for black, I think, or black's going to win this piece now. But I was thinking, oh, what do I do now? But I forgot that I was just going to go rook d8, check, and now white has to relinquish their white knight. So that will not do. So here's what my opponent played, which is bc4, and I played, of course, dc4 check. Here's king d6, get the mouse off the playing field, and here's rook a6. It's almost checkmate, but not quite. King c7, and now rook b4, protection of only, not over protection, but just protection of my c4 pass pawn, which isn't looking very healthy. d5, rook a5. Now just what am I threatening now? What? Not sure what I was actually doing here now, but king d6, so that's okay. I go king f6. So now I'm sort of threatening to push the king back to its 7th rank and maybe 8th rank. Maybe I can get checkmate here. So king c6, not if white can help it. So I go king e5, I go, aha, I can go king into here, even though these pawns look like they're going to menace my king position somewhat. So here's king f6. So I go king d4. I think, well, I might as well grab this with both bits, plus I can play rook here check. But I might not have seen that, to be honest. I played rook a6 check. I'm not sure what rook c5 check does. It might be better, but I played rook a6 check and rook f6 check. And now white's pieces are kind of like all gone, whatever that Grandmaster said, Grandmaster Williams. They've all gone coagulated and all that sort of stuff. Well, I don't know what the word was, but it was very interesting. I've never heard it before in English. So here's d6. Ouch. So what do I do now? Panic. I play rook a4. I'm trying to get a far away check. where the king is the only support for this passed d pawn. But I have my 2 rooks in vicinity and possibly close pursuit. So here's d7, well done. White's trying, but here's rook a7 check. And now if the king moves to b8, then I merely just take the pawn. So it moves to c8, and I still have to be careful here. So I go rook c6 check. So if king to b8, then the consequences are obvious, even the computer's pointing them out. So the king went here, and then I went rook behind here now. Now this pawn is looking rather fit for food soon for black's piece box or pawn box. So what does white do? White goes shebang, rook c4 check. This is, you know, like now creating a wee tactic that could be quite good for white, because after king c4, because I don't want to do anything else, then white has knight b2 check, etc. So that's what occurs. So king c4, knight b2 check. Now I go king c3, so that if knight d3 check, then I merely play this. So if knight d3 check, now what do? Take the rook? Maybe. It's probably okay. But what I would probably do is this, and then take the rook next move. So that's probably what I would do. It's just the way I would handle this. But white played rook d3 here, check, and so this still gives him a chance after rook d3, knight d3, king d3, but the king is in proximity to these cluster of doubled pawns, and now they have no friends beside them to protect them and that sort of thing. So this is looking not the greatest for white, but white can still hope for things. So king e8. Now I could just take the pawn now, but I go rook a8, because this way, if I take the pawn here, then the king is one step closer to the pawns on the king side. So I play rook check here, so that if now d8, then we have a favourable endgame for black, where black's holding all the cards. We're 1, 2, 3, 4 moves, and 1, 2, 3 once white gets to move away from d8 after the capture. So white's not in time. So my opponent went king f7. Well, it's not particularly a good idea, but I mean, I can understand white doing this. So the rest is rather elementary. So if you want to have a look at it slowly, but I'm going to play the rest of these moves, and that will be the end of this session. And I hope that your chess gets better and better, no matter where it's at and no matter where you're at. And I say, as per usual, my wee mantra here on this channel is primarily enjoy your game of chess. Okay, easy to say, as I say. So king, thank you very much. All the best with your chess. Bye for now.